in 2025, I set the goal of reading 50 books. I read 50 books in 2024. I think in 2023, I read between 45 and 50 books. In 2022, I read somewhere around 40. So I figured 50 seemed to be about what I was able to achieve. Today, I wanted to do a little reading wrap up for the first quarter of the year, so January 1st to March 31st. And during that time, I read, or started to read, 33 books. Who is she? I have here on my nifty difty, is that how that phrase goes? Nifty handy dandy, well, handy dandy, I know that's a phrase, handy dandy secondhand iPad, my reading stats for that time, and I thought it would be fun to go over them with you guys. I've really been enjoying watching reading wrap-ups from various different creators, so I thought it was probably time that I get back into doing them myself, because reading has been a big goal for me, both last year and this year. It's been a hobby that I've always had, and when it kind of became a job, the hobby sort of died a little bit, so I'm kind of eager to get back into the state of making reading a hobby, and so far I think I've succeeded in that. Of the 33 books I started, I finished reading 27 of them. It's like half of my reading goal right there, just over half of it, right there, in the first quarter of the year. I've got this. I DNF'd 2. They deserved it. And at that time, I was still working on 4 of them. I've definitely been reading a lot more since March 31st. Obviously, if you follow me on Instagram, you've been seeing me post about when I finish reading a book on my stories. I'm almost to, I won't spoil what I'm at now. You can go to my Instagram and check it out, or I'll make another video in a couple months. Or maybe I'll do a monthly wrap up, I don't know. But I was still working on 4 of them. I've been really happy with the books I picked out. I'm not too terribly picky about handing out 5-star reads. And I think part of that is that, you know, I'm older now. I don't have all of the time in the world to read. And so I'm very picky and choosy about the books I'm picking up. And so I think with my really selective nature, I'm really focusing on books that I think I'm going to enjoy. And most of the time I'm right. So I've really learned what I like reading, and that's what I read. So what exactly have I been reading this year? A lot of what I read in the first portion of the year has been manga, and everything else is kind of a mix of fantasy and romantasy. That's where my heart lies with books, is I love fantasy and I love romance. Romantasy is a pretty good category for me. So now to recap everything that I've read. I don't own every single book I read in the first part of the year. A lot of the books I read were through Libby, so through my library. I have been saving buku bucks using my library, and it has been absolutely phenomenal. One of my best friends is a librarian, so I truly, truly appreciate the library system. And it is so amazing. If you don't have a lot of funds for books, or it's hard for you to get access to books, I highly recommend checking out your library, asking them if they can order in books if they don't have exactly what you're looking for. I'm honestly shocked about a lot of the supply that my library has. I live in a pretty rural area, and my library regularly gets a ton of new books in from a lot of different publishers and imprints, so you can always find something. Alright, starting off the manga series I've been reading. I read Frieren Beyond Journey's End. I read volumes 1 through 4, and I gave it 5 stars. Frieren Beyond Journey's End follows a mage named Frieren, who was a part of the adventuring party that slayed the Demon King and ushered in a new era of peace. And now we are following Frieren as she is an elf who will live an epoch of time, and how she's learning to interact with the world around her in ways that she's never considered before after the death of some of her adventuring party members from old age. I absolutely love Frieren. I have also seen the anime. I've read almost all of the manga that's out now at this point, and it's just an absolutely amazing story. It really touches on the core of humanity and friendship and getting to know people and what exactly going through life looks like. My next read, I had Firefly Wedding Volume 1. I rated that 4 stars. It's insane. It's a little crazy. I can't even really think of a good way to describe it other than a daughter of a pretty affluent family who struggles with a heart condition, wants to ensure that her family will be well taken care of after she dies. And so she's trying to find a good marriage fit for herself to then also support her family again after she passes away from her heart condition. And in the process of doing so, gets kidnapped and gets saved by the most unlikely and slightly unsavory person ever, but in his unhingedness, it is also pretty funny. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think volume 2 comes out in just a handful of weeks. So I'll probably also pick that up and read it, and we'll see if after that volume, if I feel like continuing the series. I read through My Happy Marriage, volumes 1 through 4, and I love it so much. If there's one thing that you guys should know about me is that I am a sucker for an arranged marriage trope, or like arranged marriage anything. I love it. I love it so much. There's so much juicy goodness that can come from I swear I know how to talk. There is so much goodness that can come from an arranged marriage-based story. That's a mouthful. My Happy Marriage follows a bit of a similar plot to Firefly Wedding, wherein the daughter of a pretty affluent family is getting married off to a man from another affluent family, and she has to learn how to navigate the new world that she's been thrust into while still dealing with her abusive family and a lot of the baggage and trauma that comes from that abusive, terrible family. I absolutely loved it. I've gobbled it up. I haven't seen any of the anime for it. I probably should watch it. I'm debating if it's one that I should also make my husband watch with me. I don't know. I'll decide when I get there. 3 manga series left that I've been reading. The next up would be Like a Butterfly. This is a manga by the same mangaka and writer as A Sign of Affection. I believe this is their first manga that they put out. I could be wrong about that. This one was recommended to me by my friend Becca. Becca, I love you. Becca is a fellow writer friend of mine. She's actually been in some of Nightshade's anthologies as well. Like a Butterfly follows the story of 2 unlikely high school, I don't know if I want to call them like lovers, because that isn't quite what they become. Like it's a pretty big slow burn from my understanding of it, and it follows, they're almost like on opposite sides of the spectrum of both like popularity but also outcasts, where a lot of their popularity comes from the outside persona that everyone else is putting on them, and it isn't necessarily who they actually are. And so through their interactions with each other, they're learning how to become the people that they are on the inside, on the outside, if that makes sense. If I'm actually right about that, that's just my gleaning from having read volumes 1 through 3. I've given it currently about 4 stars. It's not my favorite. Like, it's really good, but it's not quite there for me yet. I'm hoping that with the later issues, the later volumes, that it's going to be there for me. I'm really hoping that it doesn't go down. I see a couple warning signs in it I'm looking at, and I'm just like, oh, what's going to happen here? And I'm hoping that the things I'm thinking could happen don't actually happen, and that I get twisted and blown away with what actually happens. So I'm holding on for that. I don't have high hopes, but I'm really hoping, because I really love this mangaka's work. I like her writing and I love her art style. Obviously, you know, I've got all of A Sign of Affection. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite manga series of all time. I have a handful of favorite manga series of all time. Speaking of which, one of my new favorite manga series of all time is A Man and His Cat. I've read volumes 1 through 12. At the time of filming, I think I've actually read everything that's come out. It is an easy 5-star read. It follows an older widowed man, or widower, who was a world-class pianist, and after the death of his wife, he really retreats into himself, and he's going through so much trauma and turmoil. And he remembers how his wife said that when their kids were grown and out of the house, that she really wanted to get a cat, and they were never able to, because she passed away before they could get a cat. And so part of his healing journey involves him going out and adopting this kind of what a lot of people around him call like an unsightly cat. And this cat really helps transform and heal him. And it's just so wonderful. I cry every chapter that I read of it. Not just every volume, just about every chapter makes me cry profusely, which is really fun when I'm reading it late at night at like 2 in the morning and I'm just starting to like sob in bed next to my husband, who's just out like a rock, and like he'll wake up a little bit and hear me crying. He's like, Zans, what's wrong? And I'm like, the cat, look at the cat. He's like, okay, cute. And he goes back to bed. And then next up, I could only get my hands on volume 1 through my library. Since then, I've just actually recently gotten volumes 2 and 3 this week of The Apothecary Diaries. Words cannot express how much I love The Apothecary Diaries. So I've seen all of the anime that's out, I'm reading through the manga now, and I'm reading through the light novels. I am high-key obsessed with the series. The Apothecary Diaries follows Mao Mao, a young apothecary who is sold into slavery in the rear palace of the emperor, so she is serving the concubines of the emperor in the flower garden or the rear palace. During her time there, she ends up solving a lot of mysteries, and while she's trying to keep her anonymity and stay out of the watchful eye of anyone and everyone, she is very quickly and having read part of the light novel and the point that we're at in the anime as of filming, which is early May of 2025, I'm definitely starting to see where the trauma is going to be coming from, and I'm not excited. I am excited. There would be a few things that could ruin this series for me. I'm hoping that they aren't going to happen. So long as they don't, I'm prepared. I'm not prepared. And obviously, if I didn't say it earlier, The Apothecary Diaries is an easy 5-star read for me. Next up, we have my fantasy and romances and the romantasies. As of March 31st, I only finished 1 of the books of the 4 I have here by the end of March. I am still working through 2 of them, and 1 of them I DNF'd. So starting off with the 2 that I am still working on, the first one is The Spell Shop, and it's a really cozy story so far. It opens up with a burning library, which is never a good thing, but our main character escapes the burning library. She makes her way back to her home island. Don't ask me to remember names right now. I'm terrible at names, y'all. She escapes back to her home island where she grew up with her parents, and she's trying to just blend in and continue her life, her unassuming life there. She doesn't really want to get involved in too much. And she has like, her sidekick is a magical talking plant. It's so cozy and it is so fun. It really reminds me, gives me a lot of inspiration for the continuing of my series, Down with the Prince, which is the first volume of the Tablin Tales. Book 2 I'm working on right now, and it's been giving me a lot of vibes and a lot of inspiration, so I'm really excited to finish it up. I still haven't finished it. I am slowly working through it. It's the kind of book where I pick it up and I read a couple of chapters at a time just to be cozy and just to slowly take it all in and read it. I love the descriptions in it. I really like the writing in it. The cover's cute. I'm really enjoying everything about it. And the fact that I haven't finished it yet is kind of crazy to me. But like I said, I'm really enjoying taking my time getting through it, which isn't typically like me with a book. Typically, I have to start reading it, and I have to finish it pretty quickly, or I'm never gonna finish it, which has happened with several of the books on my shelves. Always the funny talk of how, you know, have readers read all of the books on their shelves, and it's like, well, I've started almost all of them. Finishing them is a different story. Next up is The Wood at Midwinter. I am still working on it, which is ironic because it's like this thick. I have it like right here. Yeah. It's this thick, and I haven't finished it yet. I don't know why I haven't finished it. It's really cute. It's really pretty. I think part of what it is that it's very much a winter story, and I didn't finish it in the winter, and I feel like reading it in the spring and the summer is gonna feel weird, but we'll see. We'll see what I get up to. I'm really enjoying it. It's really cute. It gives me so many ideas. It's so cute. I really like Susanna Clarke's writing. Approaching my first DNF, we have Wren and the Holly Library. This was an option for Book of the Month a handful of months ago, and I didn't pick it, and then I saw my library had it, and so I borrowed it, and it took me a while to start reading it, and I didn't realize what exactly it was. Like, I read the description, and I don't think I read the description right, because when I started reading it, I realized the beginning was like a heist, and it was gonna be a weird, almost like, not quite portal fantasy story, but it was giving like fae vibes and not in the way that I super enjoy. So, and I'm not really all about heists either. So I DNF'd it. My time with it at the library lapsed. I returned it, and I don't really have any interest in picking it back up at this time. I've got other books that I want to be reading. And now for the romantasy book that I did finish the first quarter of the year, and that is Dreams Lie Beneath, and I'd give it 4 to 5 stars. I think I officially rated it 5 stars on Goodreads. Being a couple months out from it, I'd probably actually give it 4 stars, but it was a really enjoyable read. Again, I primarily rate my books on vibes and how much I enjoyed it. I have a degree in English with creative writing and some literature fun things. A lot of my degree was composed of really analyzing literature, and that's not something I'm super interested in when I'm reading books, to be honest. I read for fun, and if I had fun reading it and it wasn't filled with a million glaring issues, and if I liked it and I'd recommend it to someone and I'd read it again, I'm gonna give it 5 stars. Now we have the other 4 books, one of which I can't even, actually 2 of which I can't talk about. One of which was a 1-star read, one I haven't finished yet, but it's for work, and I can't talk about it. And if the author we've signed for Nightshade is watching this video, no, it is not your book that I'm talking about, so don't worry about that. The first one is that I have Blessed Are the Misfits, which I've been listening to. I was recommended this by my friend Hannah. This is a great devotional for people who are a lot more introverted or are on the neurodivergent spectrum, and it goes through a lot about the emotionally chargedness in the modern Western church, charismania with it, along with some of the prosperity gospel, and how that can be incredibly harmful and damaging to a lot of people, but especially people who are more introverted or on the neurodivergent spectrum, and I have really been enjoying it. I haven't finished it as of yet, so I can't give my full thoughts on it, but so far I'm really liking it. And then the only other book in the other category that I can actually talk about was a YA romance. I almost wanted to call it a romantasy, but it isn't technically a fantasy. It just has a lot of elements of a fantasy in it, I think, and that is the book Dungeons and Drama. I tried getting into it. The voice wasn't necessarily for me. Nothing against it. It just didn't click with me, and I've gotten a lot more liberal with DNFing books than I was even 3 years ago. I wasn't really DNFing books, but I don't have a lot of time to spend reading, and when I am reading, unless it's something for work, I want to read something I enjoy and I'm having fun with. So I DNF'd it. Let's see. Oh, I wrote like a lot of things here at the end. Why? Oh, I already talked about that. I talked about that. I talked about that. Ooh, this is a good point. I wrote in my script. Like I said, I have done a pretty good job of just picking out and reading books that I think I'm going to like. And I pretty well stick to the same category, being I primarily read adult now, or NA, new adult, and I am primarily reading fantasy or romantasy. And I wrote here in the script, could I be missing out on a really good book? Yeah, for sure. But I'm not going to let that fear paralyze me. I'm 26. I work several jobs. I am chronically ill and physically disabled. And as I've said several times throughout this video, I don't have all the time in the world to read. So when I have the time. I want to make sure it counts for something. I will be liberal with my DNFs, and I am going to be really picky with the books that I check out or that I buy. I am being especially picky with the books that I buy now. I used to buy a lot of books on thrift books, and because I was getting books for $5, I would be a little bit more lenient on grabbing a handful of books to read that I thought sounded interesting. But now that I'm primarily not shopping for books secondhand all that often, and I'm buying new to really support a lot of authors I like or authors that I'm friends with, I'm being really picky about where I'm spending my money. That's something I've been really mindful about the past couple years as well, is being really mindful with my money. I think, you know, with inflation and everything, and I own a house with my husband, so we're doing that, and we're trying to be fiscally responsible adults, which seems like an absolute nightmare in today's society, but we're doing it. Somehow we're doing it. Ooh, another note. A lot of my reading this year has been manga, which is great because one of my goals last year for reading, I didn't set a lot of reading goals this year. I set a reading goal number, but beyond that, I didn't set anything. But last year I did, and one of my goals was to read more manga, and I didn't quite do that. But this year, clearly, as we've shown, I have done that, and that makes me really happy because I love reading manga. I grew up reading manga with a lot of my cousins, and it's just a lot of fun for me. There's something so different about reading a manga from reading a book. It feels like a totally different medium, mainly because it is a slightly different medium. So it's really refreshing to my brain when I've been doing a lot of work on books and reading arcs and reading books for my day job, and it's just different enough that it still counts as reading, obviously, but it's different, and it's really good. So I've been doing a lot of that, and it's really different, and it's really good. That's another thing. I've been reading a crap ton of manhwa, but I haven't included them in this list because I keep track of them actually in a separate spreadsheet. Because if I were to combine them, I would have already hit my reading goal for this year, like, in February. I talked about that. Ooh, what I'm wanting to read next. Interesting. Let's go through what I'm wanting to read next and see if I've actually started reading it. We'll get a little sneak peek for next time. What I'm wanting to read next. Apothecary Diaries. More of the manga and the light novel. I own the first volume of the light novel, and I have been reading more of the manga, so go me. More of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. I have been continuing to read that. I said I also want to rewatch the anime again with some family and friends. I tried to get my dad to start watching it. He was not having it, though. Sisters of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross. I did read that, and I did finish it. I'm not going to tell you what I rated it. A Land So Wide by Aaron A. Craig. I have an arc of that. It comes out September 9th. I'm working through the arc right now. I am enjoying it. We'll see how I feel at the end of it. I'll note here also that I got A House of Salt and Sorrow on Libby by Erin A. Craig, and that is her first book, and I'm also really enjoying that. And then a bunch of random books on my TBR. And then I have a note about how I'm a mood reader now, and I just like doom scrolling, and so I don't pick up my books or my Switch because I just doom scroll. So I guess that's a reading goal this year. A goal now is to stop doom scrolling as much. And that's the end of that document. That's the end of my script. That's everything I read book and manga wise for the start of 2025. I think I've done an excellent job in picking out the books that I'm wanting to be reading. I think I've done a good job DNFing when things aren't a good fit for me. I think I'm doing a good job overall in making time to read. I think I could be making more time to read. I will say that, at least so far, for like April and this beginning of May, I feel like I could be making a little bit more time to read. I think I could be nailing out a handful more novels than I have been. But like I said, I am happy with the progress that I've been making. I've already read more books this year than I think I did by this point last year. The funny thing about me though, and I'm gonna see if it ends up being true for this year as well, is that my reading goes like down drastically in the summer Most people, I feel like their reading goes up in the summer, but for me, when it's hot out, I don't want to do anything but melt and maybe play Stardew on my Switch, and you guessed it, doom scroll. So we'll see if I do a good job this summer of not doing that and actually picking up my books and reading them, because reading is wonderful. And I was about to go on a whole tangent about literacy rates and people reading books and everything like that, but I don't feel like it. I feel like that's a video all on its own, and that's not something I have the energy for right now. Right now, I've got some eggs in my fridge that are gonna go bad soon, so I think I'm gonna go make them into cookies and then eat them. And then maybe I'll read a book while I eat the cookies. We'll see. Anywho, if you got to this point of the video, let me introduce myself. My name is Xanna Renee. I am a fantasy author. I have a YouTube channel that you are watching right now, shocker, that I upload to occasionally. I'm really bad at remembering to do it. Well, it's not just that. It's like when you're chronically ill, like everything is hard. So it's been tough, but I'm hoping to get back into it. I say that every video, and then there's like a 3-month gap between posting, but we'll see. We'll see. I want to do a lot more reading content. I think that'll be fun for me, kind of switch it up. You can also follow me on my other social media platforms. I have an Instagram. I have a Threads account that's tied to my Instagram. I think I have a Facebook account that's tied to my Instagram, except I hate Facebook because Facebook stole my books. The irony there is that Meta still owns Instagram and I'm still using Instagram, but authors need to promote their work somewhere, so love it. Subscribe to me here. You can buy my book Down with the Prince wherever books are sold. If you like ebooks, I sell the ebook directly through my website now. I took it off of KU because I hate Amazon, so you can buy it through my website directly, nightshadepublishing.com/shop. You can also find it on my website, XannasRenee.com. Yeah, it's XannasRenee.com, not XannasBooks.com. I should get both domains though, let's be real. And if you click on the shop tab there, it'll take you to the Nightshade Publishing shop where you can buy the book. So, the same place. 2 different ways to get there. I have a newsletter that I update about as regularly as I upload to YouTube. I should probably update that now that I think about it, you know. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!